Hey everybody, how's it going? Stout Man coming back at you once again, and today I am going to be talking to you about some more Blu-rays that I picked up. This time around I got a mixture of some kind of spooky stuff for the Halloween season and some somewhat dark and disturbing. I mean, the genre's all over the place with these two, I guess you could say, but yeah, they're a little dark and disturbing, I think. They kind of fit with the theme, sort of. But I have reasons for everything that I got, and I'll talk about that when I show them. So I think first off I'll talk about the not-so-spooky things that I picked up. Today while I was at Target, picking up a few things here and there, I saw this particular title at $4. Not listed. I keep saying listed because I usually buy things online, but I was at Target and they had it there for $4, $3.99 in particular. So I knew, actually I'd been thinking about this one recently, and I knew I wanted to pick it up eventually, so I said, you know what, I don't have this yet, I should pick it up, especially since it's $4. And that would be Training Day. Been a long time since I've seen this. I swear I saw it once. I got it on DVD, or rented it on DVD, like from Blockbuster or something like that, when it first came out, and then never watched it again. I remember liking it, but I guess it just wasn't one that, like, I felt like I wanted to watch again anytime soon. So it's been a long time, but I've been thinking a lot about it lately, so now I figured was the time. The price was definitely right. I was very happy to be able to get this for $4 freaking, a really good deal. Includes commentary, director's commentary, additional scenes, alternate ending. I don't know if I ever even watched the alternate ending. And HBO first look, the making of Training Day, 2 music videos, and a theatrical trailer. So a fairly hefty amount of special features, not a lot, mind you, but some decent special features there for only $4. I know this comes like in another set, it comes in a couple of sets. I think there's like a 2-movie set with this, and then a 3-movie set with this. I don't remember what the other movies are, but I think that the main reason I didn't want to get that set was because the second movie in the double set was one I wasn't really that interested in. So, yeah, either way, I'm sure I could have technically gotten this for a little bit cheaper if I would have gotten like a double pack for $6 or $7 or something, but $4 for this is not a bad deal, and very glad to have it in my collection now. From there on out, though, that was like the only thing I found in actual stores. I had to get the rest on Amazon. And the next one I got here was a title that actually went out of print, but then went back in print. And after having seen it go out of print, and I just didn't want to chance it again. I didn't want to deal with the possibility that, well, maybe it's going to go out of print again, and maybe it'll never come back in print, and maybe Criterion will never get it, even though it's a movie that totally deserves to be on Criterion Collection, yada yada yada. And that would be The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. This is a really good Western. And yes, it is a Western, but there are also noted noir elements to this film, particularly the way that it is shot, particularly the scene where you see the man who shot Liberty Valance. The way they shoot it is like with long dark shadows that you get from a noir movie, and it's told, also the way that it's told, like the way that the story progresses and everything, is in the same kind of looking back at something that happened manner that noir films are typically done in, that same way that noir films are typically directed, written. Yeah, there are a lot of noir elements to this movie, believe it or not, and that's one of the reasons I like it. But the other reason I like it is because it's a Western that I feel like anybody can appreciate. Like, even people who don't necessarily like Westerns, this is so well told, it's so well written, directed, and all that, that it's just easy for anybody to latch onto. The pacing is perfect. The story is perfect. It's something anybody can relate to. It's almost, in terms of the Western aspect of it. You know, it's the prototypical type of Western that people think about when they think about Westerns. Obviously, since it has noir influences, it's not necessarily entirely prototypical. But when you're working with John Ford, you're going to get really a lot of the prototypical stuff in there, a lot of the stuff that people expect to see from a Western, including a story that is very much set in stone, the Western mythos, right? But at the same time as it is very much like in the heart of what a Western is supposed to be, it's also a bit of a revisionist Western, even before, this is like before revisionist Westerns even existed, right? But it's taking a look at some of the concepts and some of the themes that you see in other Westerns that were like made in earlier, like the 20s and 30s and 40s, right? It's taking a look at some of those themes in those movies and saying, you know, that's not entirely what the real Wild West was like. And there are elements, I'll just say there are elements to this that are not exactly, don't exactly end the way that the prototypical Western would. So I say it's prototypical, but when I say that, I mean that, like, the way the story is told is in a manner which it should be easy for pretty much any audience to watch. So even if you don't like Westerns typically, you're probably not going to have a hard time watching this one. You know what I mean? If somebody sat you down and said, we're going to watch this, it wouldn't be like it drags on and you can't connect to anything and you don't enjoy any of it. Like, you're going to find things to like about this movie, even if you don't like Westerns. Put it that way. Next up, I decided to pick up, it's a used copy, mind you, but finally got Gothica in my hands. I believe this one's technically been out of print for a while, because I know it hasn't really been on Amazon. Like, you can get it on Amazon, but I believe all the copies being sold on Amazon are through third-party sellers. So that's actually how I got it, through a third-party seller. I think it might have actually been Amazon Warehouse, but I've been waiting for a halfway decent price on this one because I know there are a million copies of this out there, and it's one that you frequently see for between like $4 and $5, right? But as of recently, when I decided I wanted to pick it up, finally, I'm looking around and I'm seeing prices of like $7 to $8, and I'm just like, what do you mean? That movie is not worth that much. There are way too many copies on the market for it to be that freaking costly, you know what I mean? So I waited and waited and waited and finally went down to about a $5 price range, and I said, alright, I might as well bite the bullet and get it. And I don't regret a thing, because I really like this movie. I like the story behind it. It's almost got like a gothic feel to it, you know what I mean? I think I remember watching it around the same time as Don't Say a Word, and they both have this kind of eerie tone to them, and this one also has that kind of tone about it, and it's just a spooky movie in general. And I love the way the story ends. I love the actors in the movie. Like, everything about the movie to me is enjoyable, and I don't get why some people don't like this, but to each their own, whatever. I'm happy I got it because I enjoy this movie. I guess it's got a bunch of special features here, including commentary by the director, obviously. Halle Berry getting punked and grooved to MTV's The Making of Behind Blue Eyes music video. The way they wrote these special features is very strange. But the movie itself, I feel like, is well directed, well written, interesting enough that I enjoy it. I love these little, like, suspense movies. I don't know if you've noticed that, but I do enjoy the suspense movies from time to time. It's actually one of my favorite little subgenres, if you will, because I feel like these movies are very much born out of the horror genre, but they have more to do with the Hitchcock school of suspense than they do with, you know, John Carpenter's school of scaring people. You know, it's not the same kind of thing as a horror movie. It's got like maybe gothic elements to it, but it isn't a horror movie. It's a suspense movie. There are very suspenseful moments in the film. You don't know what's going to happen next, you know. And it has elements of horror to it, but it's mostly suspense. And I like that. I like those movies, and I like this one in particular. So I'm glad that I finally now have it in my collection. I think I might have had it on DVD at one point, but I don't remember. I know I don't have it on DVD now, so have it on Blu-ray. Awesome. Last but not least, the final pickup here is one that just came out. Night of the Living Dead. The original Night of the Living Dead from Mill Creek. The one thing I want to mention about this, well, a couple things I want to mention about this. First of all, I'm pretty sure, I've heard people saying that this is a 2K transfer, but there's a 4K transfer out there, and apparently, according to some people, the 4K transfer is owned by Criterion. I can't confirm this. I'm hearing varying reports. So it's like some people are saying that that's not accurate, that Criterion doesn't own the rights to distribute the film. And if they don't own the rights to distribute the film, then it is beyond logic that they would also somehow own the print, the 4K print. How could you own the 4K print of a movie but not own the rights to sell that print? It doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? So although I've heard those reports, I don't really believe them. But if there's a chance, even a small, tiny little chance that this could get a Criterion release, it makes me a little bit regret getting this version, because any Criterion release of this movie is going to be about 1 billion times nicer. But it was only like $9. I think it was a little bit under $9 when I pre-ordered it, and that's the price I'm definitely willing to pay. Other reports I've heard is that the 2K transfer actually is like it came from the 4K transfer. I don't know if that's true again, but I do know that it is a new transfer. And a lot of people are saying it's not a good transfer, but the people who are saying it's not a good transfer are also saying it's got all these pops and whistles. It's like they didn't even clean anything up. And, yeah, guys, I'm sorry, but when you say things like that, it makes me feel like you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. It makes me feel like you don't know what film grain is. Because, yes, a movie like this, with a dirty print, is going to have pops and whistles, right? But you really don't want too much cleanup, if any, on a movie like this, or on any movie that is coming from a film source. Because if it's coming from a film source, then any cleanup you do is going to have some kind of DNR in it. It's going to have some kind of smudging here and there, and you're going to lose detail because they're smudging out the film grain. So when Mill Creek, as they always do every single time, puts out a transfer that literally has no cleanup whatsoever and is just the film as presented with no work put into it whatsoever, them not putting any work into it is actually a bonus, because then you get to see all the detail. You get to see everything. Okay? Yes, that includes the pops and whistles. It includes the cigarette burns. But that's okay. You should be more than happy and willing to accept that if the overall transfer you get as a result has finer details and is just a better overall image quality than something like Predator, for instance, where it's just they smudged everything out and it looks like an oil painting. It could be worse. They could have gone the complete other direction with this, and they didn't. Instead, they chose to give us the dirty, grimy version of Night of the Living Dead which really, it's not a Living Dead. Why don't you want the dirty, grimy version? Come on now. The unfortunate part about this is that there are no special features. However, if you look closely, I know you're not going to be able to see it very well, but it does say that it includes subtitles in English, which I know don't all movies. Surprisingly, when it comes to Mill Creek, most of their titles don't have any subtitles. So it's actually kind of a big deal when you come across a new Blu-ray release from them that has subtitles. That's actually kind of a nice thing. Especially for me, I know I'm a weirdo, but I do actually like putting the subtitles on a movie that I'm watching because I grew up learning from my writing teachers, from my English teachers, that if you read something out loud, it makes it easier to understand what is actually being written on the page, what actually was written on the page, right? And I kind of carry that concept with me into watching films when I turn on the subtitles. As I am listening to what is being said, I read what is being said so that I can understand and completely and fully get what is going on in the movie, what they're saying, and I don't miss anything that way. Because sometimes actors garble lines, sometimes that's intentional, and you'll miss something if you're not paying attention, or if they just don't say things well enough for you to be able to hear it. So even if you can hear perfectly fine, you might miss certain lines unless you have the subtitles on. So I really do like watching movies with subtitles on, even though I don't need to, because it actually helps me to understand what's going on in the movie a little bit more. Makes it a little bit easier. So yeah, as somebody who watches movies with the intent of, critiquing them, even if it's just for my own purposes, even just for myself, I enjoy being able to read the dialogue that's going on as it's happening, as I'm hearing it. So yeah, each their own on that one, but personally, I am very happy that this has subtitles. And I don't know what I'll do when and if they actually do put out a Criterion Edition version. I'll probably get that one as well, but will I keep this one? That remains to be seen. Still, I'm not necessarily beat up about the fact that it's not the perfect release, because at least now there's a North American release of Night of the Living Dead on Blu-ray, and I have it. Ooh. I also still have the Millennium Edition on DVD, which has all those special features, and I have no intention of getting rid of those until those get ported to Blu-ray, when and if that ever happens. So, anyways, that will do it for me today. That's all that I got. 4 Blu-rays in total. 1 here from Target, and then the rest from Amazon. So, yeah, some spooky stuff here. And then some kind of dark stuff. Got noir, and Training Day is obviously kind of dark. So, yeah, that will do it for me. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you later. Peace.